shabby.
In a few moments' time, we have the green flag, and in front of a capacity crowd, 5 lights are on. It's lights out, away we go. Verstappen does get away well.
The top three here, Hamilton, Vettel, Verstappen, 13 world championships between them. Count them, Ted, down to you. Yeah, well, 7 for Hamilton, 4 for Vettel, 2 for Verstappen, 13, that makes 13. Nice one, Griffin, not too shabby.
In a few moments' time, we have the green flag, and in front of a capacity crowd, 5 lights are on. It's lights out, away we go. Verstappen does get away well.
The top three here, Hamilton, Vettel, Verstappen, 13 world championships between them. Count them, Ted, down to you. Yeah, well, 7 for Hamilton, 4 for Vettel, 2 for Verstappen, 13, that makes 13. Nice one, Griffin, not too shabby.
In a few moments' time, we have the green flag, and in front of a capacity crowd, 5 lights are on. It's lights out, away we go. Verstappen does get away well.
Hello all and welcome into WHF here in Tier 1. You're joined by me, your host for this evening, WHF Arrow, as we head to Silverstone for round 7 in the calendar. And it is going to be an exciting one. 18 drivers here today for a short qualifying followed by a 26 lap race. So we're all looking forward to seeing what the drivers can do out there. Thori is the first driver out there on a lap as it stands. Welcome one and all into the stream. We've got Thori leading the field ahead of the Williams that will be Ali, I think, behind, who has not served his quali ban. As we'll go on board with Ali, I suppose, even though he's going to get another quali ban after this race. But anyway, let's try and find someone on a lap. Ali will be the first driver out there on lap, as the Ferrari of Stephen Beecham's exiting just up ahead of him. And a lot of quick drivers out there today. We've seen the debut of Hassan this season. He's raced in WHF prior, but this is his first return to WHF. As we've also got who's on a lap, who we can watch, who's quick. We've got young Hemi Dimes in the Ferrari with that lovely Monza livery on his car with Leclerc helmet as well. And he currently has a purple first sector, although is that genuine? We'll have to wait and see. But Silverstone's going to be a very fun race, 26 laps. Definite one stop. Anyone who thinks it's not a one stop, you're making the wrong decision. Because Silverstone, known to have the longest pit lane on the F1 calendar, you just lose simply too much time in the pit lane. So hopefully everyone knows not to do that. As Ali goes quickest with a 27.2, followed by Ty going quicker and Thori as well, as young Hemi Dimes next across the line. And Hemi Dimes up to pole with a 26.224, as Wallamax has a 26.7. It's Mallard with a 27.0, as Gordon has got a 26.1. He's returning after missing last time out, as Ollie goes up to P4. We've got Berlin in P10, Hassan up to P10. Oh my god, DZ Racer all the way up from tier 3 into P3. What a lap from DZ Racer. Absolutely superb lap from DZ Racer. Getting a bit of a nosebleed up at the top here in Silverstone. Has found absolutely buckets of pace here, and is still a good margin off in the tier 3 championship, but got pole on Friday there in Australia, but unfortunately got disqualified off the line. Spun off the line facing the wrong way, and unfortunately the game immediately disqualified him, which is a bit ridiculous, but hey ho, it's EA. But anyway, we've got Stephen Beecham in the Ferrari. On a flyer. Has someone ahead of him in the middle sector. I believe that might be a McLaren of Ollie? Or it's a Haas, never mind, it's not a McLaren. Stephen now flying down through Stowe, using all of this exit curb as he finds his way through the final sector here of Vale and Club, and onto the Hamilton straight he comes, and Stephen Beecham up to P4 with the 26.6. That's a brilliant lap there from Stephen as well, just showing you how strong that lap is from DZ Racer. That is very, very impressive. Meanwhile, Michael Louis, his back there this lap not improving. We'll go on board with Echo, who's just started a lap here, as he's having a bit of a squirrely sector 1 here, trying to get this car going, but losing the rear through every corner, it seems. Pretty unstable so far is the Haas driver. As Rio now rounding, Echo now rounding Luffield, and up on the charge to Cops Corner. Flat in 7th gear is Rio, Harris and Cookie also on laps here. They're going to be two of the quicker drivers here yet to set laps in this session. Echo, though, in his home Grand Prix, what can he do? As he opens the DRS down the hanger straight into Stowe Corner, down to 6th gear or 5th, depending on who you are. Echo's choosing 5th. Hemi Dimes improves to P1 with a 25.971. Echo next around. Where can Echo go? Probably uses too much of that sausage curb unstable made the car unstable there. Up to P5 goes Echo as Cookie on the medium tyres goes completely off the track and invalid, as Rio Harris up to P3 with a 26.3. Now Rio has said that he is definitely going to be the winner in this race, so we're looking forward to seeing Rio win here in Silverstone. He's currently P2 in the championship, and hopefully we can see if Rio can... oh, why is the thing gone big again? Maybe I'm using the wrong thing. That's the right thing. There we go. But anyway, as we look at the standings, Cookie has gone... or continues to lead the championship, but had one of his roughest races last time out in Austria, finished down in P5. Meanwhile, Rio closed a little bit in the championship now. The gap is at 40 points, just ahead of Hemi Dimes, Nexus JG and Nasea, followed by Ollie, Seth, Apple, Ty and Michael Louis is your top 10, followed by Mallard, Womax, Echo, Star, Thorsten, Stephen, Liam, Kevin, Sluscard and Franz. But Cookie back out here on this lap on the mediums, and I'm interested to see what kind of lap Cookie can do on the mediums as the Alpine ahead of him gets out of the way. That's Cookie on a flyer here. And intriguing to where Cookie can put this lap on the medium tyres, considering he does lead the championship, and I've also forgotten that the stream's not looking at what I'm looking at. As he runs wide through Stowe Corner and into the box. And thank you, Hemi, for pointing that out, because I also missed it. Meanwhile, Berlin in that Golf livery Williams. Finding his way through Maggots and Backets, gets a lovely run and down the hanger straight, and currently improving by a second. BNZ, no, you must do the time trials. You don't need to video them, you just need to get a screenshot of your time. As Berlin rounds the final corner and up to the line, where can Berlin go? It's a mighty lap, 26.5, up to P4 goes Berlin. This would be his best qualifying performance of the season so far. And Thori now into P6, that's a brilliant lap there from Thori as well. I think we've still got a lot of drivers to improve. I think we'll see most of the drivers inside the 26s. But we'll look forward to when that happens. Meanwhile, Gordon somewhat evens on his time as he enters Maggots and Beckett's through Copse Corner. He was 400s down on his time. Now he's got to get an absolutely perfect run through Maggots and Beckett's. And does it get more perfect than that? I'm not quite sure. Does improve now. He's 300ths up on his time, and he needs to absolutely nail Stowe. And heavy braking zone, tricky braking zone for Gordon here. Runs a little deep, but if he can still keep the power down, he can still gain time here and potentially put it on pole as Gordon up to the line. Lost 2/10 there in the final sector. Meanwhile, Ali up to P3. As TJ up to P5, lovely to see the Mercs up so high today. As Ty not improving, Mallard I believe maybe on a lap, Hassan maybe just starting a lap. As the car ahead of him I think was diving out of the way, Mallard not going any quicker, so we'll follow Hassan on a lap here. Oh, as he lost the rear, exiting... Sector 1. And where can the Alpine go? Currently 5/10 off Mallard. And I did mention that everyone should be in the 26s as Hassan invalidates his lap. And we're almost there. Everyone almost inside the 26s. Still need... Jimmy Dwyer to improve, Cookie to set a lap, Mallard and Ollie just on the cusp, as Hassan as well still needs to improve, but We're almost there. Hemi Dimes currently sits on pole, but Cookie about to start his lap and will stay on board with the championship leader to see a lap here of Silverstone. And what kind of lap can he do on these soft tyres? Struggled on those medium tyres to set a banker now, and now he needs to make this one count, because there's not a lot of time left in the session. We've 5 minutes remaining in the session. Cookie's gotta make this one count if he wants to put the car on pole. Also, if he just wants to set a lap in general, because he doesn't really want to be starting from P18, as that'll make his life a lot harder in trying to win. As Rio goes quickest to the 25.799, and Rio said it, that he believed he was going to win in the race, and putting it on pole is definitely going to help doing that. Meanwhile, Cookie, what kind of lap times can he have in this Red Bull, as he's going to charge all the way up to Copse Corner? Hemi Dimes goes quicker than Rio Harris at 25.729 for the Ferrari, and pips Rio at the line. Do they have enough time to go in again and get another set of tyres on? Meanwhile, Cookie absolutely chucking the car through Maggots and Becketts, and now charging down to the line with a purple middle sector and through Stowe Corner. How brave does Cookie want to be on the brakes as he uses fifth gear? Washes a little wide but keeps it in the limits, as I believe we've seen Michael Louis improve, and so did Echo as well, jumping up to P4 and 5, as Cookie now rounding the final corner and up to the line, and Cookie goes quickest with a 25.5 on his banker lap. Very impressive from Cookie, but still not comfortable, I would say. I think young Hemi Dimes and Rio, if they can get in and out as quickly as possible, get some new tyres on, as Hemi has cut the track in qualifying, which is not a bit of a no-no. As TJ, I believe, just improved there slightly on his lap into P8, but look how close we are throughout the field. If you look at the gap from even Echo all the way down to Max P5 down to P14, separated by around 4/10, so it's very, very close there. Ollie and Mallard still need to get their act together, as Jimmy Dwyer improving by a 10th, but needs a lot more time if he does want to try and challenge here. Hassan on a out lap. I wonder, is Cookie, does he have enough time to get in and out here? I'm not quite sure, as there's a yellow flag around for, I believe, TJ. I don't really know how he's spun by himself here. It's a bit of an impressive feat. Anyway, who is someone we can watch? Jimmy Dwyer improving by 2/10, but needs a whole lot more time if he does want to gain any positions here. As up to the line Jimmy goes, does improve by 4/10, but still a good margin off Hussein, as not really got anyone else on a lap other than Hussein here. And where can the driver reserving for Alpine today go? On an absolute charge here is Hussein. And can he improve? Currently 5/10 off Mallard. The car ahead of him needs a big improvement here if he really wants to make his way up the order. And as he heads through Copse Corner, can he keep it flat? Yes, he has. And now into Maggots and Becketts. And exiting Becketts now, Hassan. 6/10 to the good. That should put him ahead of Ollie and Mallard, but can he get any more time to jump any higher up in the order? We will see. And through the final sector, the Alpine driver is going to go. And up to the line, where can he go? It's a 26.9, goes to P15. Meanwhile, Womack's improving by a 10th here. As Ali on a lap, everyone on out laps here. I wonder, does Cookie have enough time to do his lap It'll be intriguing to see. As Ali in P7. But can he improve as he enters Vale and Club? And rounding the final corner, Ali now up to the line. The Williams driver does improve by half a tenth and gets just ahead of Michael Louis by a thousandth. Meanwhile, we'll stay with Rio, who did say that he was going to put it on pole today and win very comfortably. So we will watch Rio to see whether or not he can convert on that prediction, as Cookie's missed the line, so Cookie will not improve here. Berlin up to P4. That's a beautiful lap by Berlin. His best lap of the season, you'd have to say. Meanwhile, Rio Harris absolutely on a charge. Hemi Dimes also wants pole here, and Cookie's left it on the table, you'd have to say. And has Rio got a lovely toe here, gets a lovely run through Maggots and Beckett as Hassan retires in the pit lane. Rio improving by a tenth, that would get him ahead of Hemi Dimes, but he really needs to take more risks if he wants to get ahead of Cookie here to get pole position. And into Vale and Club, there's a V-carb in the way of Rio, but still keeping that car absolutely pinned, and to the line, improves by a tenth and a half, but can't get it. Meanwhile, Hemi Dimes improving by a tenth and a half, and can Hemi potentially pep Cookie at the line here as he chucks it into Vale and Club, and can the Ferrari put it on pole for the first time this season as Hemi Dimes crosses the line, and it's just short of pole position for Hemi Dimes. Gordon improves to P4, which pips Berlin down to P5. Stephen into P9. Ty not improving. Mallard moves to P16. Ollie up to P12. Thory to P13. DZ Racer not improving, so down to P14, despite how good that lap looked earlier. Did not improve on that lap, but a very strong performance yet again from Cookie. His banker lap gets him pole position, and Hemi Dimes and Rio Harris were really not far off, but unfortunately just too far back in order to challenge Cookie in this session. And Cookie, with that pole position point, will extend his championship lead by a point, even before we've got any of the 26 laps of racing started. But there you have it, Cookie on pole by 0.07 of a second, ahead of Hemi Dimes and Rio Harris. Gordon following in behind Berlin with his best qualifying of the season, up in P5, followed by Echo, Ali, Michael Louis, Stephen and TJ is your top 10. But it's going to be an exciting one. Drivers soon will get ready for 26 laps around the British circuit here in Silverstone. But get your predictions to the chat. Who do you believe is going to win? Cookie starting on pole here, just ahead of Hemi Dimes and Rio, within a tenth of the championship leader. And can they put pressure on Cookie at the start of this one? Cookie has been so strong this whole season, leads this championship by 40 points, can extend his margin, and Cookie is starting to close in on a 6th title here in WHF. And the SSR family as well. But can anyone challenge Cookie into turn 1? Can Hemi or Rio get a good enough start to put some pressure on Cookie And even if they're able to stay inside DRS range and work their strategies, can they beat Cookie on pace here? We'll have to wait and see. Only seen in Austria last time out, Cookie lost via a 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, which cost him positions all the way down to P5. He was P1 on track, but that 10-second penalty cost him a lot of time. And in the end, Star won, reserving for the day, ahead of AMS Apple, Rio and Hemi Dimes. Meanwhile, the race before that was won by Rio following Cookie picking up a penalty in Spain, which would drop him down. So 2 consecutive races without a Cookie win, and Cookie has said that he will not lose again. So Cookie has got to be the man to watch here, and certainly will be very interesting to see what he can do here. But get your predictions in the chat for those of you still listening in. We're here in Silverstone following short qualifying. Cookie on pole ahead of Hemi Dimes, Rio Harris and Gordon. And can any of the 3 behind Cookie challenge him? We've not really seen Cookie challenge too much this season on pace. But maybe this could be the time, as someone's ready up early. But anyway. We will have the 5 red lights on here in Silverstone in round 7. And Cookie will lead us down into turn 1. Can Hemi Dimes getting a good enough start to stick with Cookie? No, it seems Cookie's comfortably dragged off the start as Gordon gets up into P3. Rio on the inside, which becomes the outside of the next corner of Gordon, as there's a bit of lag from Hemi Dimes up ahead, which has compromised Rio's run as he's still side by side with Gordon. The car around the background, it's Berlin, who had his best qualifying in his WHF career, has yet again come to blows with another car as Hemi trying to cover off the inside, as Rio still battling side by side with WHF Gordon. Side by side they go, and Rio finally gets ahead, and Gordon allows him through as Rio now inside the range of Hemi Dimes. Hemi Dimes got to push a little bit to catch. Meanwhile, we've got Womack getting ahead of Thori along with Mallard. Mallard up to P12 now. Strong start for him as Ty now down to P15 as he's going to try and get through in Thori as well. DZ Racer watching this battle along as Womack gets ahead of Mallard into Maggots and Baggots. That's a place you don't normally see a move, as Cookie's already pulled the DRS gap here off the very start of the race. Cookie just showing you the pace that he has and the reason why he's such a strong champion in this league. Already pulling that gap. Hemi now just worried about the cars behind of Rio Harris and Gordon and co. Train all the way down from P1 to P17. Berlin unfortunately had such a strong qualifying, up in the top 5, has damage, does Berlin, and that's going to cost him here. Meanwhile, Echo down the inside of Ali into turn 1, and Echo getting through on the Williams driver, as Echo now going to try and get back inside DRS range of Gordon. Echo needs it, otherwise he'll be under pressure from Ali behind. Michael Lewis starting to put the pressure on the Williams driver as well, as Echo going defensive to the inside. Ali braking early, and I think Echo has lost touch from that group of 3 ahead, as they've lost touch from Cookie. I think Cookie is now just going to clear off down the road, and it's going to be a comfortable race for him. Meanwhile, Jimmy Dwyer starting on the soft tyres here, everyone else starting on the mediums. It's a clear medium hard strategy. You don't really want to do the hard medium, because the mediums on many tracks are just not an incredibly strong tyre. The hards are just kind of the best tyre on the game, to be honest, as Michael Lowe now all over the rear of the Williams driver of Ali, as Ali now will use some ERS and DRS to stay ahead of the McLaren. Meanwhile, it's been a brilliant start for Ollie, all the way up to P9, putting pressure on TJ as Michael Louis really all over the gearbox of the Williams here of Ollie, doing well to defend. Michael piling the pressure on as someone's had a bit of drama here. I think it might be Stephen Beecham as he's dropped down the order. Whoa, Max now going side by side with Stephen. Mallard watching this as well. Stephen now, the rear light flashing in that car. Ty watching this battle as Mallard getting through on Stephen, as Stephen's having a bit of a tumultuous time here. Down to P13. We're not quite sure what's happened with the Ferrari. Potentially maybe a spin that lost him a couple of positions now, and now he struggling to keep the car together as he seems to have recomposed now and is keeping this P13. Meanwhile, Ty, DZ Racer on the inside. Oh, that's Thory on the inside of Ty Clare. Beautiful move from Thory. Is Ty going to try and get back ahead out of Luffield? Ty trying to plant the power but can't get the exit, and Thory with a beautiful move able to make that one stick. Meanwhile, Himidime still trying to stick with Cookie. Cookie's not pulled a massive gap. After gaining that DRS gap, he's not really built on it, and maybe Hemi could still find his way to keep up with Cookies. Gordon picks up an early penalty here, the first of the day, and an uncharacteristic pen from Gordon in P4, and that could hurt his battle for the podium here. Meanwhile, Womax on the outside of Hussein. As Hussein leaves the track there, may have picked up a warning. Berlin getting ahead of Jimmy Dwyer round the outside of Stowe, and side by side they go. Berlin getting back through on Jimmy Dwyer, and Berlin still carrying this damage but hoping for a safety car to kind of help his race, because that damage is going to really hurt him in this one. Meanwhile, Michael Louis still all over the rear of Ollie, and Ollie, that DRS ahead helping him as Ollie's gone for an opportunistic move on TJ, and a lovely move from Ollie. WHF Season 3 champion, and he's showing you why he is a champion, catching TJ napping, and Ollie now up into P8. A beautiful move from the McLaren, and the McLarens now working together again. Hopefully they work together better than they did in Austria. Twice Ollie hit Michael Louis. There was no real better way to say it. He did cause contact with his teammate. Michael was just a victim in those incidents. Hopefully now, Ollie, now that you're behind Michael, please don't hit him again this race. That would be preferable, as I'm sure Michael has that in the back of his mind, as he may have picked up a warning there through Beckett's. He doesn't want his teammate to accidentally hit him again. Meanwhile, Gordon seems to have dropped out of DRS. Hemi almost inside the gap there. Ali getting through on Echo. Echo's gone very wide. Open up the door to Michael Louis. Not quite sure what's happened with Echo there. Down to P7. May have been a mistake or maybe some contact with Ali. Not quite sure. As Ali still trying to stay with the group ahead. As Rio Harris now on the rear of Hemi Dimes. And Hemi, the gap between him and Cookie isn't massive, but Cookie's still keeping them at bay. And without DRS, there's not a lot Hemi can do here. He needs to try and find a way into that DRS gap. It's going to help him loads in the race. It'll help him manage his tyres and his ERS levels. But Cookie able to manage this race just outside DRS range. Meanwhile, Michael Louis all over the rear of Ali, and this time Ali does not have DRS to defend from the McLaren behind, so maybe Michael out of Beckett's can finally make this move stick down the hanger straight as he follows him through Copse Corner and now through Maggots and Beckett's. Can Michael try and get the exit out of Beckett's? And with DRS, surely he's going to try and get through in the Williams, as Ali going to try and defend this, picking the inside as Michael charging with DRS. Chooses the outside of the corner and looking for a way to get past Ali, but well defended from the Williams as Mallard getting through, and Hassan on the inside of the Red Bull. Side by side we go, the Alpine and the Red Bull, and Mallard through, but washes out wide, does the Alpine, as the Ferrari of Stephen Beecham tries to go through on both of them. Hassan now back on the outside of Stephen, and Stephen has to filter in behind. Is Thorey watching this battle as well? We're very close together, are we? As Ty also wants to get involved as well. So close is this mini train, separated by absolutely nothing. As Stephen appeared to make a little bit of a mistake there, maybe tagging the rear of Hassan. That's allowed. Thorey round the outside. Ty also maybe wants to get involved here. And can Thorey try and get out of Stephen? As Stephen battling all he can. Has Thorey got the grip on the outside? Still side by side they go. Stephen washes out wide. That opens the door to Ty on the inside. As Stephen round the outside has the grip to hold on. Out of Luffield as Gordon picks up another penalty. And Gordon seems to be struggling the most out of anyone for track limits here in Silverstone. Not the ideal race here in his home Grand Prix as Gordon as washes out wide as DZ Racer. Maybe just have survived without a penalty. And that's Michael Louis gone. Michael Louis has had a spin out of Beckett's and having such a strong race, battling for P5, and now Michael down to P11 as we also see Thorey on the inside. As Michael, Louis and Mallard go side by side, Michael keeps it ahead. Oh, and in the background, big crash between Thorey and Hassan. Hassan's out of the race, and that's a safety car here on lap 6, and it's easily Hards to the end. Hards to the end for everyone here. Berlin has got to come in. Hopefully he's told his team to fix that front wing. I'm praying he's told his team to fix the front wing. But a safety car here on lap 6. And that is going to be Hards to the end for everyone. Berlin, Thorey and Jimmy come in. And hopefully, for Berlin's case, he's got that front wing waiting, and he does, thank the Lord. Now Berlin is firmly back in this race, and he had some great pace in qualifying. And Thorey's gone on the mediums, that's the complete wrong tyre. And Jimmy on to softs again. That is even more so the wrong tyre. Jamie and Thorey on the complete wrong tyres. Jamie, though, his choice was even worse, I think, than Thorey's. Thorey could conceivably... Well, actually, I'm pretty sure he went medium, so it's not happening. Anyway, everyone else will be in the pit lane, switching onto the hard tyres to go to the end here in Silverstone. As Jimmy Dwyer says, I'm slow. Jamie, if you're listening, in the chat, box for Hards now. You're still at the back. Just box for Hards now, because it's Hards to the end, and it doesn't matter that you're on softs, because you feel that you're slow. You'll be slower if you're on softs. The quickest way to the end of the race is hard tyres. Now, the driver's got to keep an eye to not speed in the pit lane here. Well, keep an eye that no one does. You don't want to pick up any silly penalties. This has hurt Gordon the most, who's staying out, which is a very interesting move. Don't think that was the right move at all from Gordon. He's going to be very out of sync from everyone, and also has that 6 seconds of penalties that's going to cost him a lot of time. Thorey, if you're listening, go on to the hard tyres. Jamie, I know you want your participation point, but still get your participation point on the right strategy. You know, be on the right strategy for your participation point, because you can still finish ahead of some people here. Ty's gone for the mediums. Well, Max has gone for the mediums. Complete wrong choice again. This race is definitely a one-stop. You just got to manage the hards now. Probably gone a bit earlier than they would have liked, but that's the thing with Silverstone. Even whenever you have really slow managed hards, it's still quicker than the two-stop because of how long the pit lane is. It just costs you so much time, and I think we will see that. But Ali up in P5, Rio in P4, Hemi in P3, but now back on the rear of Cookie, as Gordon has stayed out for whatever reason. But maybe Gordon praying for another safety car in this race. We'll have to wait and see if it does happen. But very surprised to see so many drivers not pick the hard tyres. Although I will say, on controller, it is a nightmare to manage tyres, so Although Womack is definitely on wheel, so is Taj, so is Thori. Jimmy might be the only driver who's actually boxed onto the wrong tyre that's actually on controller. But everyone else who's boxed is on wheels, so it is a lot easier to manage the tyres. But we'll wait and see what they end up doing. Gordon obviously staying out for whatever reason. A bit of a strange strategy, but maybe he wants to make sure that he's doing only a one stop, because the hards can go to the end from here, but everyone who is on the hards will have to manage them to the end, including the ones on that are on wheel. Cookie, though, I think Cookie's got a great opportunity here, because Cookie, if he can get ahead of Gordon, that can immediately give him a bit of a buffer that could help him build a gap to Hemi Dimes. And Cookie could easily rebuild this lead. It's helped Michael Louis that safety car as Ali and Echo swapping momentarily. But Michael, who did have that unfortunate mistake out of Beckett's, he's now into P11. He's back in the running again. He lost the position to Mallard in the pit lane, but Michael, at least the gap isn't as big as he lost via that spin, and maybe could work his way back up to P5 where he was prior to the safety car. I mean, he might have been P6, but he was still battling with Ali for the P5 before making that mistake, but just pushed too hard and down the order. But the safety car has added another element to this race. And get your predictions in. Who do you think is going to win this one? The safety car should be in this race, one would think. As we finally got the safety car in message. And what's interesting about this is Gordon, who's on older mediums, has got to do this restart, and I'm not quite sure how it's going to go, in all honesty. It'll be definitely interesting. Can Gordon get a good restart here? Cookie just wants to warm those hard tyres. He doesn't really care about Gordon's restart, it seems, because he's very far back from the Aston Martin driver. We may see him close up as time progresses. That gap is now closed. Gordon, I think, wants to leave this late. And Hemi's been caught napping. Got too late on the throttle now, and Rio right on the rear of the Ferrari, but he's recovered out of the final corner. And actually got a decent run there back onto the rear of Cookie, but Cookie certainly gonna look to try and find a way through as Hemi almost catches the rear of the Red Bull. Rio gonna dive round the outside of the Ferrari of Hemi. In the background goes Echo and Ali. Hemi keeps it ahead of Rio. Side by side are Womack and Ali. And Womack gets through Echo into P5 ahead of Ali as Cookie down the inside of Gordon. He's played it perfectly. Cookie into P1, and he now has that buffer where Gordon is now in Hemi's way if he needs to get ahead. And Cookie now is going to disappear down the road, I'm sure of it. Can Hemi, though, make short work of Gordon? That is the question. As Gordon lets Hemi through, it appears. But Hemi now outside DRS range immediately. But can he burn the battery to try and get back ahead? Meanwhile, Gordon battling with Rio. Rio going to try and get through on the Aston Martin drivers. Gordon goes defensive to the inside. Rio trying around the outside to find some grip here. Searching his way around the outside. And Rio with a little bit of a illegal overtake, but gets ahead of the Aston Martin driver. Meanwhile, a little bit of carnage in the background. Cars off. Michael Louis down the order again, down to P13 as Stephen gets through. And Berlin into P15 as DZ Racer may have had some contact. Berlin, though, down the order again, despite having recovery as Echo up into P4. This would be his best race of the season as he's on the cusp of the podium as Ali round the outside of Gordon, and Gordon just dropping further and further back. It seems Gordon's kind of just calling it a day here. I'm not quite sure what Gordon was thinking at all on his strategy. I'm a bit confused, to be honest, as TJ now on the rear of Gordon, and I'm sure Gordon may let him through, as he seems to have been multiple drivers so far in this one. As we go side by side into Copse, but Gordon stays ahead. But a bit confused by what Gordon's strategy was, why he didn't box onto the hard tyres and has stayed out a little bit longer. It's going to cost him in the end for sure. And those 6 seconds of penalties have not helped him at all. And TJ now going to look for the exit here with DRS on the rear of the Aston Martin driver. And charge down, but Ollie on the inside of the Sauber as well. And Ollie into P6. Meanwhile, TJ still unable to get ahead of Gordon, as Gordon is going to come into the pit lane finally, but not quite sure what he was thinking on that strategy. I mean, he may go hard to the end now, but he's lost himself more time than he's gained, to be honest. So, I'm not quite sure what the strategy was. Meanwhile, Rio still clinging onto the rear of Hemi Dimes. Now, a reminder, Rio says that he would definitely win this race, so we're still waiting for that to happen, as Echo trying to escape from Ali in behind. Ollie putting pressure on Ali. Ollie can't seem to escape the McLaren drivers here today, as Womack's in the medium tyres. Again, not the correct strategy, so Womack's will be quick for now, but we'll have to box again in this one. Not quite sure what he was thinking. Same with Ty. Michael Louis now on the outside of Stephen Beecham. And can the McLaren find his way through? Stephen on the inside. Michael around the outside trying to find some pace here, as he does get ahead of Stephen round the outside, and before Copse that move is done, and the McLaren now on the rear of Ty. As Ty trying to catch Mallard. Now, the only reason why I think Gordon may benefit from the strategy is if any front runners up there are in puncture territory by the end, if they've not managed their hard tyres. This is the issue with Silverstone, is you really do need to focus on managing. Otherwise, you can't find yourself in a bit of a tricky situation, as Berlin now up to P13 gets ahead of Thori and looking to recover. Qualified P5, his best qualifying performance of the season, but down in P13 in Berlin, looking to find his way up the order. As Michael back on the rear of Ty. And Ty's mediums, how are they holding up already 5 laps in? And they may already starting to struggle here. Ty will have to box again. It's just a matter of when. If I were him, I would box right now onto hard tyres if he has another set available, which I don't believe Ty used, so surprising to see him not use the hards as of yet. But Ty dropping a little bit back from Mallard, and possibly seeing why the mediums are not the tyre to go for, as Hemi Dimes is gapping the Mercedes driver. Hemi Dimes just too quick for the Mercedes driver. As Ali still following along Echo. These two have been battling throughout the race so far, although Echo just seems to be leading Ali along, and Ali's happy with the tow as things stand. Meanwhile, Womack's, can he hold on to the mediums? As Thorian, Berlin around again, and Berlin has had pretty much just a nightmare season, just always in the wars, and Berlin has had contact, or maybe just a spin, and down to P14. A reminder, points go down to P16, so everyone except, unfortunately for Gordon at this moment, would still score points, although Jimmy Dwyer will still have to box off those soft tyres. Not quite sure what he's out there doing at the moment on the softs, because he can still box for hards now, or, I mean, yeah, I would box for hards now. Jimmy, if you're listening, box for hards now, and you'll make it comfortably to the end. Meanwhile, TJ on the rear of Womack's. The mediums now seem to have fallen off, hit the cliff here 6 laps in. Womack's dropping out of DRS. Ty Clear dropping out of DRS. As well with Thori as well. And I think now is the right time to box for Hards. For those of you who haven't yet, the Hards will comfortably go to the end. And they'll be actually quite quick doing only 12 laps on them, as TJ doesn't want to go for the move on Womack's. But maybe he thinks the Sauber is coming into the pit lane, but no, he stays out. Michael side by side on Ty. And Michael through on the Aston Martin driver, who goes a bit deep, opens up the door potentially to the Ferrari of Stephen Beecham. Meanwhile, TJ on the rear of Womack's, and Womack's, now that he's lost DRS, is just going to start to fall further and further back. He needs to use the hards, but I wonder, is there people think that medium soft is a doable strategy? The answer is no, as TJ down the inside of Womack's. It is not a quick strategy to do it that way. You'd really want to do a medium hard, if anything, but it seems like the drivers wanted to go to the softs, but I'm telling you now, the softs are just not quick, as Gordon's retired in the pit lane. Called it a day, as Jamie Dwyer boxes for mediums until the end. They should go to the end. Doing a soft medium, a bit of a weird strategy, but hey ho. And I'm a bit worried that Ty Clear and Womack's may be doing a medium soft, which is not a quick strategy at all at Silverstone, but here, if they finish it in a good position, they can always prove me wrong, but as things stand, it looks like they're destined for finishing down the order. Stephen gets through on Ty, up into P11. Stephen trying to latch onto the rear of Michael Louis and Mallard, as Ty and Thori still staying out in these mediums, maybe extending to go to the softs, as Womack's is in, hopefully for the hard tyres, you would think, to go to the end of this race comfortably. He'll at least beat the other medium runners in this one. But let's see what tyres he swaps onto. If it's softs, I'm going to cry. As Michael Louis putting some pressure on Mallard here. As Womack's has gone for the hard, so at least Womack's will finish ahead of Ty and Thori, you would think. As Michael now putting pressure on Mallard. And down into Brooklyn. So is he thinking about a move? But no move there. Meanwhile, Ali on the rear of Akko. These two still battling. Ali on the inside of Cop's corner. Risky move. And he dives through on Akko. Leaves the track. Akko looking for the switchback. But no move there. I mean, that's one of the most illegal overtakes I've seen this season. As Ali gets through on Akko. But can Akko get back ahead of Ali? We will wait and see. It seems like Ali has somehow avoided an illegal overtake from the game, but the stewards, I don't think, will agree too kindly. Meanwhile, Ollie up in P6, he's looking for one of his best finishes this season as Ty Clear and Thori swap positions. Do they enter the pit lane, though, is the question. Ty is going to come in as he's absolutely chucked the bollard out of the way, or that was a bit interesting. But hopefully Ty goes for the hard tyres, you would like to think. As Akko putting pressure on Ali. And can Akko find a way through, struggling on the rear? A reminder, Akko and Ali both on pad. I'm not quite sure what Ali is on, but they're definitely have to think about the tyre wear. They're really going to have to manage these hards. Don't want to push them too hard, otherwise they may be in puncture territory as Berlin picks up a 3-second time penalty. And that's the issue with the top 10 currently, is those on controller are going to have to definitely worry a whole lot more about saving their tyres than drivers on wheel will have to. Meanwhile, Ollie currently in P6. The battle for P4 rages on. TJ trying to join this battle. Has lost DRS, but desperately trying to get back inside it. I think he may have, as we exit, Beckett's. He doesn't have it, but maybe on the next lap he may have DRS if he continues pushing. Meanwhile, Mallard keeping Michael Louis at bay. Stephen Beecham and Thori leading this mini train is the Red Bull driver up in P8, which is one of Mallard's currently best results of the season as well. As Thori into the pit lane. And hopefully Thori's also gone for the hard tyres. Womack's out a good distance ahead of Ty. And Thori will see what tyres he goes for as he trundles down the pit lane. But well, I'm sure the graphic will show us as Ollie catches Echo napping, gets the opportune move again. We were looking at Michael Lou, and it was actually the teammate of Ollie getting through on Echo. A beautiful move from Ollie into P5. And Thori's also gone for the hard tyres, so everyone should be able to go to the end here in this race. No more pit stops, you would hope, unless some drivers have not managed the hards well enough, which could be the case. Silverstone is a high deg circuit, and hopefully the drivers here can manage their hards enough here. Anyone who does box is going to lose a tremendous amount of time. You're almost safer risking taking the puncture, in all honesty, at this track. That's how bad the long pit lane is. Meanwhile, Ollie trying to put pressure on Ollie now, and Ollie looking for a P4, which would be his best result we've seen in quite some time. Meanwhile, Cookie just pulling out a demanding gap over Himmy Dimes. Himmy has gapped Rio, showing the skill issue between them as Ollie comes in, and that's the risk. Ollie's run clearly pushed his tyres too long, as Echo makes a big mistake there out of Vale and could allow Ollie to push and gap him outside DRS range. The gap is almost over a second now. Echo, has he got it? It's going to be very marginal at the line. I think Ollie may have the gap here, and it may allow TJ, also looking for his best finish here in WHF. P6 would currently be his best finish, I'm sure. But TJ is on wheel, so we'll have naturally better tyre wear than Echo and Ollie ahead. Echo just about holding on a DRS range from Ollie. But Ollie up in P4, having a magnificent drive in his home Grand Prix. Mallard and Michael into the box here. Mallard struggling with tyre wear along with Michael. And that's the issue here with... If you don't one-stop, you lose a tremendous amount of time. Ollie, I don't even think will get ahead of Berlin at this stage, as Michael gets through on Ty here. And Ty down to P14. Everyone in this race will score points, including Jimmy Dwyer, who's a bit of a gap behind the pack, as TJ on the rear of Echo, not close enough to making a move, as Echo comes in, and that's the issue. I did mention it. Everyone who comes in, and Ollie's in as well. Echo's got a 10-second speed in the pit lane penalty. That's going to cost him a heap of time. But this is the risk you run if you pick up... if you don't manage the tyres. TJ now up at a P4, and he's just going to manage the hards to the end. Same with Stephen Beecham. He's got P5 currently. That would be his best finish in WHF. Berlin, despite his carnage this race, if he can make it to the end, it'll be a P6 and a magnificent drive for him. Meanwhile, DZ Racer in P7. The Tier 3 reserve currently in P7. He will be caught by Ollie by the end, but can he hold off the likes of Womack, Ollie, Echo and co? Echo, that 10-second time penalty is going to cost him massively here. But the drivers who do manage these hards at the end will reap the rewards, and Cookie now can see, I believe that's Thori up ahead of him, or that may be Jimmy Dwyer, and Cookie ahead. Meanwhile, Michael Louis getting through on Mallard here, as I'm not quite sure what's happened. Ty's dropped behind Thori as Mallard and Michael Louis continue to battle. Echo on the rear of Ollie, and may look potentially in a Cop's corner. Very risky place to be going for a move, but thinks better of it. Mallard also on the rear of Michael Louis, doesn't want that move at Cops. Meanwhile, DZ Racer's lost 2 seconds this lap to Ollie. Ollie will catch DZ Racer by the end. Meanwhile, everyone inside the top 7 really just need to manage the hards to the end, and it'll be theirs as Echo gets through on Ollie. And Thori now putting pressure on Mallard here. as Mallard trying to stick with Michael Louis. And the McLarens, who are having such a strong race, unfortunately, it has not panned out the way they've wanted here, as down in P11 and 12, a much better result was on for both of them. Maybe both of them could have thought about P4, but unfortunately on this game, especially on pad, really difficult to manage the hard tyres, and we've seen that Echo and Ollie, who are in great positions now, into the box and out now down, way down the order, and they've boxed very late enough where it's going to be a big job to try and recover any real positions here. The only real driver who seems to be at risk is DZ Racer, as the yellow flag is out. I wonder if that's just Jimmy Dwyer. It is, but DZ Racer almost losing time to Ali here. Ali on the much fresher mediums, he's going to try and find his way through on DZ Racer, but there's only 5 laps to go in this race, and DZ Racer could hold on to maybe even a top 10, which would be absolutely fantastic for the Tier 3 reserve for this evening. That's promoted up from Tier 3. Pole position in Australia on Friday. He's here on Sunday in Silverstone, currently holding on to P7. And I'm sure he'll lose P7 by the end, but still, if he gets a top 10, that'll be an absolutely fantastic result here in Tier 1. And DZ Racer possibly makes the smart choice of just letting through the Williams driver. And with it, he'll get a free use of DRS, which may help him on his stint. Meanwhile, Echo still putting pressure on Womax. Ollie seems to have made a mistake. He's dropped away from Echo. Has Echo now on the rear of Womax. He may get ahead momentarily, but that 10-second penalty is going to cost Echo massively, as Womax gets DRS from the ghosted car, aka the lapped car ahead, that's helped him hold on to P9. And Echo, again, it's another frustrating race for Echo, who's having a strong race. And again, the tyre wear comes into effect. And that's the really frustrating thing about being on controller in this game, is no matter how quick you are, we've seen how quick Echo's been this race, but the tyre wear always is the issue. It just seems impossible to manage the tyres, and we've seen that with Echo and Ollie. Down to P10 and 11 as well. Meanwhile, everyone inside the top 6 comfortably, you can tell, are on wheel. As Echo now on the outside of Womax, and Echo up to P9. And Womax now just has to really stick inside DRS Authority. On the inside of Mallard, gets through. Mallard losing the rear. Just about hold on to it. And, alright, Benzie, I'll have a look after the stream, as Womax now on the rear of Echo. But Echo's 10-second time penalty is surely going to drop him down the order. Echo's probably going to drop behind Ty Clear, so currently P9, but may drop down to P15 unless he can build a big enough gap in these remaining laps. He's now in the rear of DZ Racer, so this DRS will help him. And can DZ Racer try and hold on for as long as possible? I think if DZ Racer plays it smart, he's not really going to let through anyone here. Echo, I think, will naturally get through because of DRS. If I were DZ Racer, I might even let him through out of this corner, as Echo just has way more grip than the Alpine. And the Alpine waving him through. And it's hard to even tell where they are on the track, as DZ Racer does let through Echo, and also will get a free use of DRS as Womax now round the outside of the Alpine. And who's going to back out here? No one wants to give an inch, as they go side by side, and DZ Racer with a beautiful defensive driving, but Womax just has so much more grip on these fresh hard tyres. May get round the outside. They're still side by side. It's a drag race down to Stowe Corner, and Womax breaks later and gets through. DZ Racer now, all he needs to worry about is trying to hold on to DRS range of the cars ahead, but he may lose out to Ollie and Michael Louis, as Ollie down the inside of DZ Racer had to get really squirrely on the brakes there. DZ Racer really struggling for pace here on these old hards. Meanwhile, Ollie's actually caught the rear of Berlin. Now, a reminder how far Berlin was down the order after all his dramas. Ollie on the inside of DZ Racer. Can Michael Louis capitalise as well here? And around the outside, a little bit of contact with the Alpine. As off the track he goes. And Ali through on Berlin in Brooklands as Michael. Gonna get try around the outside of DZ Racer here. As Berlin has lost DRS to Ali, but I'm sure Berlin, currently P7, it's his best finish of the season. Very sure he'll take that as Michael Oy out of Luffield gets ahead. And DZ Racer up in P12. Has 2 more laps to keep it together here. Meanwhile, Thorey gets a much better exit out of Beckett's and may try and look for a move down into Stowe Corner on DZ Racer, and Thorey breaks later than the Alpine and gets through. The Alpine, though, still may get some positions here because of penalties of drivers ahead as he locks the rears, and Mallard going to get through on the Alpine, surely. And can Ty even try and get through as he does get through out of the final corner, and DZ Racer now down to P15. He's just going to try and hold on to the cars ahead to try and get some drivers here on penalties, the likes of Acco, Thorey and co. Meanwhile, Ali inside the penalty range of Stephen Beecham, and Stephen showing you how important it is to stay out on this strategy. Stephen wasn't really anywhere in this race, and now he's looking for his best ever finish in WHF, sitting in P5. Although Ali will get him on penalties, so still P6 will be Stephen's best ever finish here in Silverstone. Meanwhile, Rio still trying to catch Hemi Dimes, but Hemi showing why Ferrari is better than Mercedes. As we're about to start the final lap here, Hemi seems to have this in the bag, and Rio, who said before the race that he was destined to win, unfortunately, it seems like his destiny is not for the top step of the podium, with Cookie having one of his most comfortable races of the season. However, Rio now inside DRS range from Hemi Dimes, as Hemi gonna look to defend here in the final lap, as there's still some drama to unfold as Ty gets ahead of Mallard. Rio now on the rear of Hemi Dimes, but is he close enough to go for a move? Not just yet, but here in the final lap, could Rio potentially get a P2? As Cookie enters Cop's corner on the final lap here, Rio trying to chase after Hemi Dimes. Ali on the rear of Stephen Beecham, as Stephen looking to hold up the Williams drivers. Thorey picks up a time penalty. That's going to cost him another position potentially, as Rio now trying to nail his exit out of Maggots and Beckett's. Can the Ferrari of Hemi Dimes, as we see the rear step out on the Ferrari, as Hemi going to plant the throttle. Ali getting through out of Luffield, as Rio trying to chase after Hemi Dimes, but Hemi just showing his talent and keeps it ahead of the Mercedes, as Stephen Beecham now down to P6, but we're going to follow Cookie across the line as he returns to the top step of the podium and wins in Silverstone ahead of Hemi Dimes and Rio, who are chasing to the line, but the Ferrari driver proving that Ferrari is clear of Mercedes. Meanwhile, TJ in P4, showing you how important it was to stay out on the hard tyres. Although he's picked up a time penalty here in the final lap, which could leave him susceptible to Ali if Ali gets a monster final sector here. TJ's just going to be calm across the line. He should hold on to P4, which is his best ever finish here in WHF, as Ali finishes P5, Stephen in P6 for his best finish of the season, as Acco gets through on Berlin at the line. Max jumps to P7, Ali up to P8, Michael to P9, Berlin to P10, Acco down to P12, Ty Mallard gets through, Acco drops behind, down all the way down to P13, Thorey into P14, DZ Racer to P15, and Jamie in P16, with Cookie winning again ahead of Hemi Dimes and Rio. But absolute cinema, and Cookie wins in Silverstone. ahead of Hemi Dimes and Rio Harris on the podium. Hemi outclassing Rio Harris and finishes P2 on the podium in Rio's home Grand Prix. Meanwhile, a couple of drivers with their best finish of the season. Walmax gets driver of the day, and TJ with his best ever result in WHF gets P4. Brilliant result for Mercedes. As I need to get the results before the countdown finishes. Let me just get the race director in, so that the stewards can use it if it's needed. As Ali in P5, his best finish in WHF, along with Stephen's best finish. Ali up in P8, Berlin in P10. Despite how awful Berlin's race went, he still finished inside the top 10. Although I'm sure he wanted better considering where he qualified. But I'm sure he'll take it with all the carnage he was involved with. But we'll start the interviews here with Rio Harris. Rio, before the race you did say that you were destined to win in Silverstone and you ended up finishing P3. What ended up happening in the end?
Fumble qualifying, Paul was there, and then just Silverstone tyre was crazy. First stint, I think Adam could even back me up. I mean, the whole race in general, the amount of management I was doing, I don't understand how Cookie was faster and still had the same tyre wear as me, pushing so much more. It's just fucking stupid.
Well, you still get a podium. And it's still a decent result to get a podium on your home Grand Prix. But congrats on the P3, and we'll also move on to Hemi Dimes, who finished in P2. Now, Hemi, I did mention in the commentary booth that you were just proving to Rio why Ferrari is better than Mercedes with that P2 performance. Hemi, how'd that race go for you?
It's just pretty boring. I was hoping Rio would catch me towards the end just so I'd have something interesting to battle for, but he caught me just at the line, so in the end it is just boring. Bottled qualifying massively. I could have been on pole, I will just say that, but Stowe didn't go well for me, so...
Well, still a P2, and congrats on the P2 nonetheless. We'll move on to TJ. TJ, you finished in P4, your best ever finish in WHF. How'd that race go for you?
Yeah, it went well, but at start, it was just DRS trains with a couple people. And I was thinking about the 2-stop, but then I just decided to stick to the 1 and it worked out.
Yeah. We did see you were battling with a couple of people there before the pit phase, and I was literally saying in the commentary booth, whoever stays out is going to finish up the order here, and there you were. You stayed out on the hard tyres, and it just proved how much of a difference it made by staying out, because you finished P4 and it didn't even seem like anyone was anywhere close to you at the end.
No, I was just proper saving tyres. Stephen had a penalty as well, and I just knew I could keep him behind. So yeah, it was just, I think I ended the race on about 81% tyre wear.
But congrats anyway on the P5 as we'll move down, or on the P4 as we'll move down to Echo, who... Echo, did you finish P5? Or no, it was the 10-second penalty. I forgot about that. You were battling well throughout the whole race there, although I did say you had to manage the hards, but unfortunately you and Ollie both went in the pit lane at the same time. An unfortunate penalty there that dropped you down all the order. Another frustrating race for yourself, Echo, but can you take any positives from that?
I knew I had pace that race. I could hopefully would have finished in the top 5 there, but obviously struggled with tyre wear yet again, so nothing much I could have done that race. But did anybody actually finish on the hards with the 1-stop?
Yeah, but that is what I was saying in the commentary booth, is that except for Cookie, everyone else is on wheels, so it does make managing the tyres a lot easier. Although Rio
what
in
lap did I box? I think I boxed about lap 20 and my tyres were on about 60 to 70%. And then that's when I boxed for the mediums.
Yeah.
I had 85 crossing the line on hard.
that is such a huge difference.
Yeah. Ideally, you want to be boxing off the mediums around lap 12 and then going on hards to the end. And the safety car coming out lap 7, I think it was just ill-timed for anyone who is on pad, because you kind of have to manage the tyres anyway in Silverstone, and then having to do an extended stint is just not really doable. You have to drive so slowly, especially on pad, otherwise your tyres are going to grain. I think you and Ollie both ran into the same issue, which unfortunately dropped you down a couple of positions, but still got points in the end. But we'll move on to Thorsten as well. Thorsten, I had many questions about your strategy throughout that race, but in the end I think you still got some decent points. How'd that race go for you?
Yeah, I have like the bottle in strategy to not stay out but pit on the mediums and not on the hards and try to finish to the end. So it was a really good recovery for me to do. And it was lots of fun to battle with TJ and like Michael. So it was very fun to drive.
Well, I'm glad you have fun, because that is what the league is all about. But
You finished me after bloody pre-season in Mexico.
But a fantastic race to watch. Cookie extends his championship lead, and as we head to Hungary next time out in round 8, it is looking like Cookie is just a couple of races away from potentially wrapping up his 6th title here in WHF. But thank you all for watching. If you have enjoyed, this has been WHF Arrow, and we're going to raid Gegerbra, which I think is well, it's a different language. I'm going to guess German. But anyway, thank you all for watching. If you have enjoyed, make sure to follow Gegerbra or whatever his name is. But thank you all for watching. We'll be back next week as Tier 1 heads to Hungary. But anyway, thank you all for watching, and goodbye.
Arrow, could you send